So I was sitting on the porch of the place I'm staying at here in Seattle, and in my IFTV shirt, of course, which is a day before our epic pickup game road trip begins, and you definitely should come if you're kind of maybe thinking about it. But then I said to myself, F it, let's do another preview, because there are only 4 teams left in the World Cup. 4. And honestly, the biggest surprise for me of these 4 remaining teams are the 2 who were in the same group, Belgium and England, because I thought for sure they would have underperformed or choked earlier in the tournament, but alas, they both played pretty well, and they've survived some close calls. Belgium against Japan, you guys remember that game? And England against Colombia in penalties. Also, before I get into the individual games and previewing and predicting these, can we talk about how all 4 of these countries have had fantastic performances from their respective goalkeepers? Hugo Lloris, nails. Thibaut Courtois, a wall. Jordan Pickford, he'll definitely be knighted soon based on his performances. And Daniel Subasic, who is not only a master at saving penalties, he also healed from a hamstring injury faster than any human being that I have ever seen. And all of them will need to continue to keep standing on their head if they want to make it to the final. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to shout out the goalkeepers right from the get-go so they didn't get lost in the shuffle when I started talking about everything else. Anyway, let's start with semifinal number 1, France versus Belgium. It's crazy to think that these 2 countries who are touching each other, and no, not like that, touching with their borders. You know what? I know what you're thinking. And I don't care if you use borders as a euphemism for something else. All of you need to get your heads out of the gutter, all right? It's gross, but kind of funny. Anyway, given their proximity on a map, which is probably how I should have described it originally, it's crazy that the last competitive match between these 2 countries was back in the 3rd place game of the 1986 World Cup. They haven't played in the Euros or qualifying or anything. Only 8 friendlies in the last 22 years, which means history is going to play no part in this matchup, besides maybe French legend Thierry Henry being an assistant coach for Belgium 20 years after he won a World Cup for France, which I believe has made a big impact on the team, and in particular, Romelu Lukaku, who I feel has taken his game to another level this tournament, especially with his decision making, because he seems to be playing with more purpose and making his decisions quicker and with more confidence. Just watch him. Watch him. He's not second guessing himself anymore. And continuing on this Belgium theme, after starting his tenure in charge of Belgium with a 2-0 loss to Spain at home, Roberto Martinez has led them to a 23-game unbeaten streak, scoring 78 goals and only being shut out once over those 23 games. And also, just in case you were wondering, they are the highest scoring team in this World Cup with 14 goals in their 5 games, so it's clear that attacking isn't their issue. It's their defending. Japan exposed some weaknesses in the round of 16 and scored 2 goals, while Brazil scored 1 in the quarterfinals, but probably should have scored a few more, and I wish they would have, those bastards. And with Thomas Meunier out due to yellow card accumulation, their back line just got a lot slower and a lot less dynamic going forward on the right side of the field, which I expect France to exploit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kylian Mbappe lines up on the left side as opposed to the right. Though running at Jan Vertonghen, if he sets up on the right, would be a lot of fun for him too. So I mean, I think it's just going to be a good day for Kylian Mbappe. So as I lay this out in my head and envision France's 4-2-3-1, battling it out against Belgium's 3-4-3, and think about where all the key matchups are going to be, like how Olivier Giroud occupying the Belgian center backs to create space for Antoine Griezmann and Mbappe is going to be super important. Or where Kevin De Bruyne is going to set up, since he played more centrally and somewhat of a false 9 against Brazil, which worked well in that one, but if he does that in this game, he's going to be entering into N'Golo Kante territory, and no one comes out of that territory alive. Or Paul Pogba against his club teammate Marouane Fellaini, which I expect will just be Fellaini fouling him over and over until he gets a card, and then Fellaini won't be as effective because he can't throw his elbows around. Or Eden Hazard against either one of France's 22-year-old outside backs. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. There are key matchups everywhere, but I think France is better than Belgium in more areas of the field, so I'm going to say France wins this 3-2. And then in the other semifinal, it's England versus Croatia. And let me start by saying that Croatia has used up all of their luck, if you believe in luck, of course, after surviving 2 penalty shootouts. But maybe even more damaging to their chances is that they have potentially used up all of their energy too after playing in back-to-back 120-minute games that were both highly emotional as well. So even though it's easy for us to say, well, it's the World Cup semifinals, they're gonna find a way to do it, that's true, and they might for the first 30 to 45 minutes. But I think they're going to quickly realize that they're tapped, both mentally and physically, especially if England continue to do what they've been doing, and that's press the game. Especially in the first half, because only at the start of the second half in their most recent match against Sweden did I see them take a more balanced approach as to when they were going to press collectively and when they were going to drop off, which gave Sweden a little bit more of the ball, but ultimately in less dangerous areas of the field. And even when it got in dangerous areas, it didn't do much with it. So if England can score first and they have to know this too, by the way, I think it could break the Croatians, because then the Croatians would need to draw upon an incredible amount of energy just to get back in the game, let alone trying to win it, which is energy I don't think they have. But maybe I'm underestimating the amount of heart this Croatia side has, just like I might be underestimating the same thing with the Belgians. And maybe I'm not factoring in that England's manager Gareth Southgate is expected to roll out the same exact lineup for the third consecutive game, so his starters aren't necessarily going to be super fresh for this either. However, the difference between success and failure, especially at a World Cup semifinal, is razor thin, because both sides have already shown throughout this tournament how technically and tactically proficient they are, which means, for me, it's going to come down to the intangibles. Like who can concentrate best when they're tired, or giving the right communication at the right time, which I assure you is a skill, especially in the anticipation department, or the belief that you can do it individually and collectively, which is vital to success at any level, or to trust that people are going to have your back when you need them to, or the commitment to go above and beyond what is being asked, but also the discipline to not try and do too much. I believe that all these things are going to be tested over 90 or 120 minutes for both teams, and it's going to be the team that bends but doesn't break that's booking their ticket to the final, and I think that team's going to be England 2-1. And all right, that is it. That is all I got. So let me know who you think is going to win, and if you nail the right score for both games, I will name drop you as the new god of predictions in my preview of the final. Also, best wishes to all 4 of these countries and the people that support them. Also, smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.